did. Hi guys, my name is Coach Pub. I'm one of the commissioners of Friday Night Lights. Normally, because of my ADHD, I like to walk around and stuff. But since we're filming this, there's a mic here, so I kind of have to be here. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. If you're here, it's because you're a normal human that wants to help kids in a positive way. That's great news, okay? This is not about winning. This is not about championships. This is not about like getting your name in the newspaper. I don't think that's gonna happen here. This is about being a wonderful human and setting a great example for kids, whether they win or whether they lose. That is the most important thing. So I want to start with that, and I'm also going to end with that. Now in between, we're going to talk a little bit about the rules of the game. We're going to answer some questions you have. Some things that you want to take away from tonight are flags, footballs, and the footballs will be here shortly if you're waiting. And also the fact that, you don't want to be weird, okay? We don't want to be weird. In FNL, our motto is don't be weird. Now an example of weird? Okay, weird would be throwing your clipboard on a Friday night on the ground, okay? Weird would be yelling at a referee, whether they're an octogenarian or a 16-year-old. It's still weird, okay? We don't want to yell at referees. We want to be nice to referees. We want to be nice to the other coaches. We want to be nice to players. We just want to be nice, in that spirit, we got Landon here. He's filming tonight, so that there were a couple coaches that couldn't make it to tonight's meeting. So we're going to film it, put it on YouTube, and then send it out. That way, in case anybody here wants to reference it, you can do that. Another takeaway, tomorrow night we are going to have a coach's clinic in this room. If you have any apprehension, any anxiety, any sort of trepidation about coaching flag football, maybe your significant other voluntold you to do this. It's possible. Come tomorrow night, 5:45 to 7 o'clock, we will be having an FNL coaches clinic. We're going to have an experienced Friday Night Lights coach up here diagramming plays, giving you an idea of how he runs practice, going over just anything you need. It's kind of an open forum, and you can ask questions like, how many plays should we have? Or should we play man? Should we play zone? Stuff like that. So tonight, my goal, again, I'm Coach Pub. I'm one of the commissioners of Friday Night Lights. The other commissioner is Coach McNeil. He's also the head coach of Carlsbad High School. I'm the defensive coordinator at Carlsbad High School. And Coach McNeil is having the sophomore football players over at his house tonight for a barbecue and pool party. So typically he's up here and we do this together, but this is the first time in 12 years he hasn't been up here. But I have so much Diet Coke in my system, like I'm so ready to go. It's fine. Okay. So let's talk about very, very basics of Friday Night Lights. The games are on Fridays. Now, when we get to the playoffs, there's always a chance you could play on a Thursday, but we've only played like on 2 Thursdays in the last 2 years, something like that. So nothing crazy there. Everybody, this is a non-contact flag football league. So if you are practicing tackling drills, you're in the wrong room, okay? This is a non-contact flag football league. Everybody should be playing and touching the football. One of the big pushes this season for Friday Night Lights is we've heard a lot of feedback from coaches, both new and old, that are like, you know what, I think some coaches are taking advantage of the substitutions. I don't think some coaches are substituting appropriately. We're going to take that guesswork out of the equation this year. We are going to make sure that everybody subs a certain way, and I'm going to send a comprehensive email that is idiot-proof, okay? And you're going to be able to read it, and you're going to be able to understand it. And if you have 9 players, this is how you sub. If you have 8 players, this is how you sub. If you have 10 players, this is how you sub. And your job is to exchange your lineup card with the other coach prior to the game. If you do not want to exchange lineup cards, that is totally okay. But you will start on 2nd down for the rest of the game. You will lose 1st down. If you do not want to exchange lineup cards and let the other coach know how you're going to substitute, that's up to you. It's a legal substitution. Your team will be penalized by only getting 2 downs instead of 3. So what I think will happen, and Coach Matt thinks will happen, and our head ref, is that the coaches are going to figure out the substitution process after a week or 2, and then it'll be easy for you because we're going to be really prescriptive with how you sub. Therefore, it'll kind of take the guesswork out. You don't have to worry about, oh, did I get this player in? No. It's going to be very, very organized, okay? So substitution. And the reason why we're revamping the substitution rules, guys, I kind of touched on it, is we just want to promote participation. This is a participation-oriented league. This is not a super duper gnarly competitive flag football organization. There's no traveling in this FNL league. You're not going to Norco for a tournament. Like you're just not, okay? It's Friday nights at Poinsettia Park at Alba Norte Park. That's where you play. And when the season ends, it'll be in November, hopefully before Thanksgiving. If we get any rainouts, it'll probably be after Thanksgiving. And we appreciate, everybody understanding the logistics behind it, and we're doing our absolute best to promote all kids playing flag football. Raise your hand if you're a coach of an all-girls flag football team. Look at that, hands down. That is so awesome. I've got 2 daughters, and it is so cool that now that girls flag football is going to be a high school sport. It's coming up here very, very soon, and it's just another opportunity for equal access, and it's just so fun. And those of you that have been around FNL a little bit, you also know that these girls teams are awesome, and they're usually taller than the boys until about 6th grade. So it's a tough deal for the boys, but it's also awesome. And so we let people sign up to play in the all-girls division if they just want to play against other female teams, or they can play in the co-ed division. So we do have a lot of teams that opted to play in the co-ed division, okay? So that's just kind of like the 30,000-foot view of kind of what we're doing this fall. So let's talk about the rules of Friday Night Lights. I am not an artist. You guys can see that. But what you have there is you have end zones, which is where the G's are. Then in the middle with the dotted line is the first down line. And then the squiggly lines are what we call the no-run zones. Now, once you get in the no-run zone, that's right, you guessed it, you can't run. I know. You have to throw the football, okay? So even if you're in kindergarten, I coach kindergarten FNL, my oldest daughter. Even if you throw it underhanded, it could be a 1-inch forward pass, but you must throw the football, okay? Everybody gets 3 downs. You always start on the 5-yard line, which is the first squiggly line, and you get 3 downs to get to the dotted line, which is the first down, and then 3 downs to get in the end zone. Once you get in the end zone, you can go for 1 or for 2. If you want to go for 2, you're going to be on the 12-yard line. If you want to go for 1, you're on the 5-yard line. Who can tell me the difference between going for 1 and going for 2, and if you're calling the plays, what it allows you to do? Raise your hand. Yes, sir. And Tom. Run or pass. So if you want to go for 1, you're on the 5-yard line, which means you must pass. If you want to go for 2, you're on the 12-yard line, which means you can hand it off to somebody and they can run or throw. So you have a little bit more flexibility there. All right, when it comes to flag pulling is always like a source of, I don't want to say frustration, but it's always like the coach and the referee never really, may not agree sometimes on if it was a flag guarding situation or maybe there was some contact. The referee's job is to keep the kids safe. That's the #1 job in Friday Night Lights. If you feel like your referee is not keeping kids safe, you do not email me that night after your game. You email me in the morning. And you say, hey, Coach Pub, please see the attached referee feedback form. Because we have documentation on every referee. And if one of those referees gets like 3 bad, or depending on the severity of it, sometimes it's 1. If a referee has a bad report, depending on what it is, then we're going to talk to him or her. And if it gets better, we'll continue to roll with that referee. If it does not get better, then that referee typically gets removed. That also happens with coaches. Now, it rarely happens with coaches. Rarely. I mean, we've had 30,000 kids run through Friday Night Lights in the last 12 years. We've had thousands of coaches. We've only had to remove like 4 or 5 coaches in 12 years. I am really, really of the opinion that nobody in here is one of those, okay? But you really just want to take a deep breath and really check yourself. Because if you're not meant to coach recreational flag football and you think you're just a little too high strung, maybe you get that grass fever. The minute your feet get on the grass, you turn into like Nick Saban or Bill Belichick, you think. This may not be the right thing for you, honestly. You can email me and say, hey, Coach Pub, after being at the coaches meeting, I now realize I am a weirdo. I should not be coaching flag football. I think that's a great email to get in July, rather than at some point in September, Coach Mack and I are calling you on a Saturday morning saying, hey, did you really throw a clipboard at a kid? That's an exaggeration, but I think you understand the point. So, tonight's meeting should be done here, I would say by 7:30 to just set some expectations. There's restrooms out there, and on your way out, if you didn't get footballs, you can get your footballs. On your way out, if you didn't check in with Tommy, you can check in with Tommy. But again, flags and footballs are the priority tonight, and then tomorrow night, raise your hand if you know what we're doing. Raise your hand if you know what we're doing. Tomorrow night. Yes, sir, in the back.
You're doing coaching.
Yes, Coach's Clinic, experienced F&L coach. With a whiteboard, you can ask questions. And this is an experienced F&L coach who does a really good job, and it's also normal, okay? I do want to caution you, okay? There are a couple coaches, there's 250 teams. There are a couple coaches out there that are kind of weird, okay? It's just part of the deal. If you go to Walmart, there's probably somebody who's weird there too, you know? It's a numbers game. So, but hands down, if you happen to be one of those people that is weird, again, you can email me and recuse yourself right away, or throughout the season, it's going to kind of be flushed out, and we're going to kind of know who you are. So I just always want to start with this. When I was 10 years old, I was on the Atlanta Braves, Los Alamitos Little League, and I remember throwing my bat after I struck out, and John Wally was the head coach, and he came over to me, he saw me throw my bat, he saw me throw my hat, he saw me cry, and he goes, hey, in life, there's going to be good things that happen and bad things that happen. It is really, really important that you conduct yourself in a mature manner, because it's always about how you respond in life. It's never about what happens. So I say that to you because I still remember this dude. I had a million coaches, but I still remember this dude because of that one little lesson. You all are going to be coaches for young kids. Some of them are going to be 6 years old, some of them are going to be 14 years old, okay? If they're held back, maybe they're 16, who knows? But everybody has a chance to have a positive impact on somebody, and none of us know what's going on at their home. None of us. We may think we do, but maybe they're in a separated family, maybe they have a custody situation, maybe they had a rough week, maybe they're going through some really gnarly stuff. On Friday night, if that player hasn't showed up at practice for weeks, and they show up on Friday, high five them. High five her. Tell them you're happy to see them. You don't know what's going on in their life, and you don't punish them by taking away playing time on a Friday night. They showed up to play flag football, have a Capri Sun, an orange slice, have some pizza, and then their parents are going to go somewhere after maybe and hang out. And so just always really think about that. Tomorrow night they're going to talk about plays and strategies and this, that, and the other. All that is minutia, honestly. This is a youth development league where we want the best people in the North County coastal area to be around kids and be positive and be helpful. And as our eyes and ears, if something doesn't look right, it could be a referee, it could be a supervisor, it could be a coach. Email us, please. Because the only way this league gets better is from you. A few years ago, there were coaches who were like, you know what? We don't like that the rusher's at 7 yards. We think it'd be better if the quarterback had a little bit more time. We moved the rush line back to 10. A few years ago, coaches were like, you know, this flag guarding rule is really punitive. You can run for 40 yards, almost get a touchdown, then the player flag guards, and they have a -10 from where the ball started on that play, which ends up being like a 50-yard penalty. So we got rid of the flag guarding penalty. Now, if you flag guard, it's just down right there. So we're constantly tinkering with Friday Night Lights to make it the best product around. And we love your feedback. And Coach Mack Mack's been married for 20-something years. I've been married for 13 years. And my first job ever was as a referee. I have such thick skin after marriage and being a referee. There's nothing you can't say to me as long as you use the feedback form, okay, on that. Now, so just understand that there's a way we do things and there's a way we don't do things. And I know I spent the last 15 minutes on this subject, but you're going to see somebody weird on Friday night. You're going to. They're going to be weird, and you're going to let me know or let Coach Mack know. But you're not going to engage with them. You're not going to get into a match with them because it always takes two for something weird to happen. If one coach is normal and the other coach is weird, the other coach tells his kids, hey, on this team, this is how we behave. I don't really care what other people do. On this team, this is how we conduct ourselves. And then you email me in the morning. But just understand it, never, ever, ever feel like you have to get in the mud with somebody. And if something's not going right, you tell the referee, hey, I'd like to see the field supervisor. They're everywhere. They wear green neon shirts. And if you don't find a field supervisor, ask one of our helpers wearing an F&L shirt. I need a field supervisor. and they will stop the game, they'll get a supervisor over, and we'll make sure that whatever the issue is, we're able to flush that out, because our goal is to keep kids safe and in a fun, positive environment. Questions, comments, concerns on any of that? No. Okay. All right, I want to take a little bit of a poll of things that you guys are really, really interested in talking about, okay? So I'm going to ask 5 people to raise their hand and give me a few topics that they came to this meeting hoping to get out. Because I can go through the agenda, I can go through the dates, I can go through this, but I really want to go with the most salient information right away. So, yes, sir?
Substitutions.
Okay, so we have every team will have 9 players at least, okay? If you have 10 players, it's because you're a really nice human, okay? And you want to have your life a little bit difficult this fall, okay? But we'll make sure, Coach, you probably had 10 one time. Yeah. We're gonna make sure that we send an email that describes exactly how you substitute. If you have 7 players, what you do. If you have 6 players, what you do. If you have 9 players, this is how you sub. It'll all come in an email. We revamp the lineup card so that there's 10 spots on it, so that now you'll be able to clearly mark what quarter each player plays, and then you can also make sure you exchange with the other coach, and as discussed, if the other coach does not want to exchange with you, and this has been an issue, some coaches are like, oh, it's fine, no problem. If they don't want to exchange line cards, they start on second down the whole night. They lose it down. And so that is, and the referees are on board with this. So we are going to make sure that in FNL, people are participating at a high level. Some of these coaches, who I'm sure are nice people, but maybe it got away from them or they just forgot, whatever the case was, they subbed kind of weirdly. And sometimes a player who maybe wasn't the fastest, or maybe had like a body structure like mine, they're like, I don't want to get them the football, they're too slow or whatever. You know, like they would rather have the fast people play. That's weird. Okay, we're talking about 6-year-olds or 10-year-olds. That's weird. All right, substitutions, I've nailed it. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I assume there'll be some provision in that for injuries or with the little kids.
Yes, yeah.
Want to sit on the sideline.
So like, let's say your player gets kicked in the stomach on accident, right? And they go out of the game. Well, the referee typically will say, oh, buddy, you okay? The coach will get out there, the player will go off the field, and then a new player will come in the game for a couple plays, okay? Now, if it happens to you, and you happen to lose a player, and you send in a player, the other coach is going to be like okay with it, okay, as long as the other coach doesn't feel like you engineered the injury, okay? For example, let's say your player got injured, or the player got injured, and faked an injury, and then all of a sudden, like the really slow kid leaves, and the really fast kid comes in, and all of a sudden changes the tide of the game. That would be weird, but most people don't operate like that. The faking of the injury thing is not like a real thing, I don't think, yet. But you know, just want to be on the up and up about that. Good to go?
Yeah, I'm more concerned with I got the little kids.
Yeah.
Sort of like, I'm just not going to play right now.
Well, there's that, but sometimes what they need is just a hug from mom, you know, a little bit of a Capri Sun, and a promise to get goldfish after the game, and they're going to be good to go. Yes, sir.
If you have 5 or 6 players, it's still true, you still need the players sub card, or?
Yes, if you have 5 or 6, or we're going to ask you to exchange the lineup card. And then I'm going to put in the email, if you have 5 players, this is what you do. And 6 players, here's an example card of what you do. That way, it's something you guys can reference and take away. I could go over it tonight, but I think some of it will, your eyes will glaze over, and because most of you don't have 10 players, most of you don't have 6 players. So I'm going to put together a really, really detailed email and make sure everybody has it. And we're filming this because some people couldn't make it tonight. What other questions do you guys have that are really, really like, yes, sir?
If you have fewer than the roster for when people are out of town, people are sick.
Okay, so you start off with 9 players, but 2 players are in Cabo. I'm with you.
Right, and from my understanding, for the other coach would be notified when they have the option to sit play.
So, but that's how it goes. Before the game, you just want to be a normal, kind human, and if you have 7, you want to tell the other team. Because if you tell the other team before the game, then that person can pick one of your players to sit out, okay? The reason why we do that, because if you have 7 players, it's actually a pretty significant advantage in FNL. That means, there are a lot of people. 4 kids are going to play the whole game, or 3 kids are going to play the whole game. If you have your best 3 players on the field the whole game, your chance of winning go up, blah, blah, blah. So the 7-player rule is 7 versus 8, 7 versus 9, 7 versus 10. okay? Again, all this will come in an email. I don't expect you to memorize any of this, but that's the 7-player rule, coach. Does that make sense? So if I have 7, I get to choose when my best player sits out. That coach has to identify my best player.
But if you have, let's say you're missing one guy, you have 8.
Okay, then now, I'll put this in the email as well, but with 8 players, everybody's gonna play 3 full quarters.
Right.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, but there's no, the other coach isn't going to choose who you sit when you have 8 players.
Correct.
Only if there's 7.
Yes, that's the distinction. If you have 7, that's when the other coach can choose to have your player sit out. Coaches, I know you guys have been working all day and stuff. We have lots of room up here if you want to. If you guys want to stand, that's all good too. Kieran, Javen, did we get the footballs?
You had some, yes, if you were
Right. Let's use your words here, Javen. What's happening here?
We had a ring work come in, but the coach was clear enough, so I think we're out right now.
We're out of medium footballs. Go ahead. Hey, Tommy, come on up here. Let's talk about jerseys and sponsorships and footballs. Here we go. Yeah. Hey guys, this is Tommy. Her email address is tommy4fnl@gmail.com. And Tommy handles the sponsorships, the jerseys, and all that fun stuff. Tommy, I'm gonna let you be right over
Okay,
here.
thank you.
You can sort of mic in here.
Thanks. So guys, sorry that there's a football shortage for the 3, 4, 5, 6 division. Tomorrow night we should have more. If anyone is planning to go to the coaches clinic tomorrow night, you can pick them up then. If not, I have a sheet of paper back there. You can put your name and number and address, and Mario's going to deliver them.
Oh, wow.
So, because it's on us, so, okay, so just let us know back there for the 5, 6. We have enough 7, 8 in kindergarten 1, 2, so you should be set. Okay, so uniforms. It's going to be in a set assortment, a standard allotment per division, because we have like 2,000 and over 2,000 uniforms, so we have to order them 7 weeks in advance. So that's why it's by a certain size allotment per division. So when you hand them out, just make sure that you take a look at the sizes of your players and you hand out the assortment appropriately so that you don't, willy-nilly, you might give the large person a small or extra small. So just kind of be aware that when you pass out your jerseys and shorts. Make sense? Okay. And then, so to get your uniforms, it's going to be August 9th. There's going to be an email about this at the Harding Center. And at that time, to get your uniforms, you've got to have your sponsorship paid. So in the coach's packet, you'll see the sponsorship form. This is really important to fill out. We are asking that you pay online by August 7th ahead of time. It makes it so much faster. You get to go through an expedited line at the Harding Center and you can just get your uniforms and go. You don't have to wait in a long line. If you have to, you can pay cash or check there at the Harding Center, but you're going to have to wait in a line while people are doing that, and it's only cash and check because the cell service is so bad there. We can't do the credit card and the Venmo. So you can also Venmo or do a check ahead of time if you need to. But just make sure you fill out this form. And that's the only way that you're going to get your uniforms is if you've paid your sponsorships. So please do it online ahead of time. It saves everyone a lot of time. And it's really easy to do. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. When do you get the roster or like parent emails?
Oh, that's him. Yeah. But anything about uniforms or sponsorships or anything like that?
Is the
Yeah.
sponsorship per kid? Or?
Oh, no, it's per team. It's $375.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Last year, the kids chose their short size. Is that the same?
Yeah, no, we didn't do it this year because with the 2,500 players that we had, it was just kind of chaotic when they moved teams, and it's just too chaotic. So, but I got a good sample size, so I know like what the average range was, and so it should be pretty good on that, And they're shorts, right? They don't have to fit perfectly, so, but yeah, so.
Coach, I know you had a question.
Just curious, I thought you guys had a partner that we could get their name, like nicknames or names.
Yeah, we do. We do. I want to say that's on the coaches tab.
That-
Embroid Me is one of them.
Yeah, It is on the coaches tab. So there's a couple different vendors
Yeah.
that are suggested to use. So just go on the coaches tab under, sponsors. So, yeah.
Thanks, Tommy.
Okay.
Guys, clap it up for Tommy.
Thanks.
So, yes, the sponsor thing, you know, you have 9 people on your team. If everybody tries to walk into 2 businesses, they're going to get somebody to donate $375. They get the tax deductible donation. They can put the name of their company on the back of the jersey. They can put a patch on it. Like you do whatever you want to do. We want these local businesses to offset some of the costs on the parents, so that the $375, if the local business picks that up, parents don't have to. Otherwise, it's $375 divided by 9, and everybody just kind of Venmos each other and turns into money. Tony's the guru runs sponsorships and the jerseys and the shorts and all that fun stuff. Thank you, Tony. Okay, so we talked a little bit about substitutions, talked a little bit about some other stuff. What else is really, really important to you before I start launching into how we play FNL? Yes, sir?
Last man rule.
The last man rule. Okay. So, you're running to get a touchdown. You've gotten past everybody, sir. What's your name?
Aaron.
Aaron, you're very fast, okay? So Aaron's running, he's so fast. And I'm like, you know what? There's no way I can pull Aaron's flag. So I tackle Aaron, or I pull Aaron's shorts down, or whatever. The referee is gonna throw a flag and say last man standing, which means that Aaron would have scored if the last person, me, did not do a penalty, do something illegal. Then the referee will award you a touchdown. That's how it should go, okay? It rarely happens like that. Referees are, I don't know if everybody here is an official. Right? Last time there was an official. Referees are not good, okay? On all levels. There's 7 of them in an NFL game. You ever seen a missed call? All the time. So, these referees with the last man standing, I want them to, Aaron, I want them to get it, but some of them are doing the best job they can, and they don't always call that rule. But yes, they should. What else? Yes, sir?
So this is kind of more of a rare instance, but
Oh, I love rare instances. Here we go.
so in last season there was a portion where literally I had 9 kids and 7 of them were all out of town. And so,
Whoa!
Yeah, it was my son and there was 1 other kid, so we ended up having to forfeit that game. And when I spoke to that particular coach that we were facing, he actually ran into the same issue 2 weeks prior, so it's like
Sure.
very rare. But in that particular instance, was the protocol trying to reschedule or just kind of what does that look like?
Okay, that's a great example here. I've got a friend out here, his name is Dax. Dax, raise your hand, buddy. That's my friend Dax. Okay, so if Dax and I are supposed to play each other at Friday Night Lights, right? And we're supposed to play on Friday, and I'm super excited about it. He's super excited about it, and all of a sudden he calls me and goes, "Hey, I've got 4 of my players out of town. Man, any way we can reschedule?" Well, the first thing I'm gonna do is go, "Well, can I reschedule? Like, let me look at, when do you want to reschedule?" "Well, I'd like to reschedule on September 30th. "Okay, well, let me look at my calendar." "Well, dude, I've got a 50th birthday that night. Hey, Dax, I'm sorry, dude, I can't." If the answer is no, then Dax's team is gonna forfeit, okay? And they're gonna get a loss. Or I'm gonna try to make it happen. Another thing that can happen is you email our scheduling coordinator, and I make sure I put her contact info in the emails I send you, jenfnl@gmail.com. Jen is awesome. Her one job with FNL is to make sure that if coaches need to reschedule a game, they have somebody to go to. That they know the process goes like this. Email the other coach, see if he or she is willing to reschedule. If they're willing to, then Jen will say, "Hey guys, I've got a field on October 7th at 6 o'clock, and it looks like it'll work for your team and his team because you guys are already playing at 4:20, and now you just have to stick around for another hour and play another game." So that's the protocol on rescheduling. If you cannot, you absolutely can't, like you have 3 jobs, you have 7 kids, I don't know what your deal is, but you can't, then you guys can also try to reschedule at a park on a Tuesday afternoon. By 28 yards, and she'll even get you a referee. You have to pay the referee $30 or something, or $40. But if everybody of all 18 players pay $2.25 or something, then you have a real referee. And so, like, we can make it happen. We're very, very flexible. None of us want that because, like, the whole point of FNL is it's called Friday Night Lights. We want the kids to play on Friday nights under the lights. That's the fun part. So it's less than ideal, coach, but we can make that happen if we need to. Questions, comments, concerns on anything else?
How about practice schedules or
Practice. Okay, practice field availability for the fall right now is a lot of TBD, honestly, which is not a great answer, okay? But we're working on it. The school districts in the summer, they're not too, how shall I call this, labor intensive. And then we have the cities who we're working with that we're trying to get more and more fields every week. And those conversations are in motion. So we'll continue to do our best with the city of San Marcos, the city of Encinitas, the city of Carlsbad. You know, and if there's a place that you're interested, like let's say Travis lives in South Oceanside. He's like, hey, I know this park right by my house. Can we rent this field? Email me the name of the field. I will call the city of Oceanside. Hey, can I rent this field Tuesdays from 4 to 6? If they say yes, I'll pay it and I'll send them our insurance info and everybody's good. So never, like you can always suggest stuff to us and we will make the phone call, we'll shoot the email. Typically we know the Parks and Rec people and if the answer is yes, it's a done deal, you know. So right now it's a little hit and miss on the fields. I'd say by August 1st, it's gonna be pretty solidified. Thankfully in the summer, it's not super gnarly with the fields. You know, there tends to be a lot of open space in the summer, okay? Questions, comments, concerns on anything else like that? Yes, sir.
What about team names? Are those assigned? Or
They are assigned, yes. If you ever email me and are like, hey, you know what? I'm a huge Vanderbilt Commodores fan. I'd like to be the Vanderbilt Commodores. I'm going to delete that email so fast. It just goes out. It's like a reaction. It's like instant. I go, oh, I don't care. I don't care. And because we want to do is make sure there aren't 5 different San Diego State teams in the league. We don't want kindergarten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8 to all be San Diego's, all have San Diego State team because people, sometimes they go on the schedules and they see San Diego State, then they show up at Alga Norte at 4:20, but their San Diego State team is actually at 8:30 at Poinsettia Park. That can be confusing. So we try to limit the volume of like the number of teams, or the frequency of teams, if that makes sense. So there are a lot of people here who are Green Bay Packer fans or Ohio State Buckeye fans or whatever. Yeah, no suit for you. All good. Here we go. Next one. Anybody else? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
the no-run zones, that's where it's closest to the first yard line, right?
Yes. Landon? I'm okay to walk with this, right? Okay. All right. So let's talk about the game of Friday Night Lights, okay? All right. So the ball always starts on the 5-yard line. You get 3 downs to get to the first down marker. If after 3 downs, you get past the first down marker, then you have another 3 downs to get in the end zone. After you get in the end zone, you have a choice of going for 1 or 2. Who knows the distinction between the 1 and 2? You can run it or pass it, right? We already kind of, I think, covered that. So if you get the ball on the 5-yard line, you're going for 1. If you get the ball on the 12-yard line, you're going for 2, and you can run it or pass it, okay? If you get an interception, you can absolutely run it back. Absolutely. And also, it's all good. If you get an interception, you can totally run it back. Also, on a 1-point conversion or a 2-point conversion, this was a suggestion by coaches a couple years ago. Hey, coach, how about on the 1-point and 2-point conversion? How about we're able to return those for points? Like, you know what? That sounds fun. Let's do that. So now, on a 1-point conversion, if you intercept and run it back, you get to steal the 1 point. So that's cool. Questions, comments, concerns on any of that? Yes, sir. A great question. So the field is 50 yards, and then each end zone is like 7 to 8 yards. So it's about like 18-ish yards from goal line to here, which means it's 13 yards from the 5 to the first down marker.
So they take over the ball where they...
So let's say you're on offense, coach, and after 3 downs, you do not get to the first down marker. It's my ball, and I'm on this side of the field, and I'm going that way now. Does that make sense for everybody? So change of possession, we always go to the opposite field, okay? Now, this came up a few years ago with the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts, okay? Football, air, like the whole thing, PSI levels. We don't care how pumped up your football is. Don't care. What we do care is that you don't overinflate it, because if you overinflate these beautiful FNL footballs, they will pop. So you want to make sure it's a little squishy, okay? That's just a heads up on that, okay? And as discussed, man, super duper sorry about not having all the medium footballs tonight. As Tommy said, you can either come back tomorrow night and pick up some footballs in this room, no worries, or you can send your address to her and we will deliver them to you, okay? Because we're the ones that made the mistake and we believe in owning mistakes. Questions, comments, concerns on any of the... All right, so... Let's talk about what the referee does during a game, okay? The referee's job is to keep everybody safe. ensure that the lineup cards are exchanged, and watch 12 humans on the football field as they all run around. Now, with the 7th and 8th graders, that becomes very, very hard, okay? Those are large humans that run fast. With the little ones, sometimes those referees are also doing things like encouraging, like, hey, buddy, you guys are taking too much time in between plays, because there's a 30-second play clock, and the referee's job is to keep the game going, and if each coach takes like 48 seconds in between plays, that limits the number of plays that the total game has, which limits the number of opportunities kids have. And as we started this meeting, this is a kid-friendly organization, so we want to make sure that the players are running lots and lots of plays. What do good coaches do? Good coaches give the ball to everybody. Good coaches have somebody on the sideline keeping track of how many times Landon or Travis or Dax has touched the football, because that's what good coaches do. They don't think about, oh, I've got to score. They think about, you know what, I want to make sure that everybody develops. Now, I'm going to kind of shift gears a little bit into what's going to get touched on tomorrow night, which is practices and how you actually run an FNL team. Raise your hand if you're a first-time FNL coach. First time. Okay, hands down. All right. The younger your team is, the more zone defense you play, okay? The older your team is, the more man defense you play. Coaches, do you think you should ever let the players go home with their flag belt and flags? No. Why? Because they're not responsible. You know what I mean? They need somebody to tell them to brush their teeth. Forget about the flags. Make sure the coaches are collecting flags all the time. Practice-wise, I would really focus on skill development. I have one of my favorite dudes ever is a dude named David Arnold. His son plays football at Poway High School, and he started playing in FNL 12 years ago with a kindergartner. And I remember watching him coach, and he had this little notepad the whole game. And I was like, what are you? So finally, I got the courage to ask him. I was like, hey, dude, what are you doing with the notepad? He goes, I'm keeping track of who's touching the football. I go, you're doing that during the game? He goes, yeah. I go, why? He goes, well, I believe if I work on developing skills and giving everybody chances during the season, in the playoffs will be better. And I was like, well, we'll see how that goes, buddy. Your team is like, at that point, I think they were under 500 in the regular season. Then the playoffs came, and they won the championship. And I forever have been convinced that skill development is the number one key to winning. So I coach at Carlsbad High School, Coach Max, the head coach. What we work on in practice, and we never miss this, is individual skill development every day. If we only have an hour, we're going to focus, individual skill development is going to be 30 minutes of it. Because over time, if you work on developing players' skills, it's amazing how much better they can snap the football, throw the football, exchange the football on a handoff or a toss. It's repetitions, it's practice. Another thing to mention is you want to try to find an assistant coach. Most of the time, it's as easy as you send an email out to everybody, hey guys, my name is Coach Paul. I am lucky enough to be your coach, your son's or daughter's coach this season in Friday Night Lights. Our first game is August 18th. We have a sponsorship due on August this. And by the way, I'd like to organize our first team meeting. Is anybody willing to be an assistant coach with me? And if you get crickets, here's what you do. The minute the practice starts, you just go, hey, come on over here. And you get them going, and you say, hey, here's what I need you to do. I just need you to stand here while they snap the football back and forth to each other so they can work on that. And you just kind of gradually, because a lot of people are just nervous, you know? Like, we've all been nervous, right? And sometimes you just need a little bit of help, okay? So have an assistant, have extra footballs. You can, even if it's a Nerf football or something you find at Big Five or Dick's, have footballs, have cones. You don't need a large area to practice, typically. You just need a patch of grass, and you need to be organized. I cannot say this enough. Be organized. Be organized. If you do not have a plan, these 9-year-olds will run you. It will be a rough hour of your life. If you go out there and say, all right, here's what we're doing today. First, we have a 6-minute warm-up. Everybody take a lap. Then we're coming back. We're doing this. After the warm-up, then we have snapping. After snapping, we're going to work on flag pulling. And you give them structure and organization, and you have another body, hopefully, like a parent who's also helping, it's going to go so much better. The worst thing that happens if you show up like a substitute teacher and are like, hey, how's it going? Like, that's not a strategy. You know, you want to be organized, and you want to have it written down, and you want to let them know. And here's my last thing: if you want to have success in Friday Night Lights, work on flag pulling, and work on not dropping the football. Handoffs, catches. Don't drop the ball. and pull flags. If all you did, if at the end of that day, you may lose, but if you had no bad exchanges with the center, if you had no bad handoffs, if you had nobody drop the ball catching, and you pulled flags, you're gonna be pretty successful. Now, let's say you're stuck with a bunch of future engineers and architects, like I had one year, okay? All right, now I can say this, I work with them, but here's the deal. Now, I had a team one time I coached, and I love these kids. They're awesome, but they were not super fast or super dynamic, and they were awesome young people. We had a great season. At the end of every game, I sent a text to all the parents. You know, Jimmy's getting a lot better at getting off the ball fast. Now, what does that mean? It means when the ball snaps, he's running 3 hard steps. That's an easy thing to do, but it's success. You know who's getting really good? Johnny is doing a really good job of handing the football off to the running backs. You want to really compliment these players and make sure their parents know that you're acknowledging them. It will save you some time. It will also save you some headaches because let's say, you know, the season's not going great, okay? You're 0-6, and all of a sudden these parents are griping that they're losing. Well, if they're getting a positive text or email after every game, if their kid is getting developed in practice, if they're getting opportunities to improve, and they're at practice and they see you organize, so many parents will have so much more grace with you on that. But if you are just rolling the ball out, so to speak, and you're not really organized, then the parents are going to be a little irritated with you because they're like, well, you know, we signed up for this league to play flag football, and what we've noticed is that you're just playing 3 flies up at practice, and that's not really helping my son or daughter. So, you know, just kind of know that, you know, and I know some of you have played football, some of you haven't played football, some of you have coached, some of you haven't. The greatest coach I ever have known never played a down of organized football. He was just a smart person who learned the game and was able to communicate effectively. So, again, be a good role model, do all that. Hey, Coach.
Once you get a first down, so let's say you get a first down, you're like 1 yard over the first down marker.
You're right here and you're going this way. Yes, sir.
Perfect. You don't have to run the ball out of that.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that, Coach, because if you got the ball and you're going that way, this squiggly line that's a no-run zone doesn't pertain to you. It only pertains if you were going that way. This no-run zone, as you're approaching the end zone, does pertain to you, though. Yeah, and these lines on the field are not squiggly. They're super duper straight, just so you know, on the fields. So that is drawn to different. I'm just terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, what else? What else, guys? What's interesting to you, or shall I continue to go here? Yeah. The maximum amount of downs you can get is 6 total downs. So 3 to get to the first down and 3 to score. As a coach, I always want the other team to have to use all 6 downs. I would have a rule when I coached and say, you know what, if they score and they use all 6 downs, you know what I'm gonna say to you guys? Great job. But what we can't have happen is give up a touchdown on 1 play, you know? That is tough. But if they have to use all 6 plays to score, that's all good with me. Okay, we got about 12 minutes left, and after, I want to also be clear about this. I will stick around here as long as you want. If you want to stick around and you have questions, or you want to bring up something, or you just want to talk one-on-one because you're not one of those people that likes to talk in front of people, that's cool. I'll stay here all night. We can do this all night. Yes, sir?
You can record tomorrow's as well.
I have a bunch of other coaches' clinics I've recorded in the past. I'll send you those. Unless Landon's available tomorrow night, then, we'll figure it out. You're available, Landon?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to record tomorrow night. Yeah, I told you he was the best videographer ever. Go ahead.
On your emails are going to be all like the basic, we're brand new, so it's going to be all the basic rules of like how they snap the ball.
Yeah, so we have an FNL rules document that you can find on the coaches tab on nccfnl.com, and I will email it out as well. And it goes over the basics of the game. It talks about if there's a holding penalty, what the penalty is. It goes through the overtime rules. Like, it's really, really, really detailed. Another thing I would highly suggest, I can see some people starting to defect right now, so I want to say this. There's a really cool instructional video on the nccfnl.com coaches tab that a Friday Night Lights coach put together that is like how to structure practice, what are good drills, like it is so helpful. And if you're a fan of YouTube, you can go on YouTube and do Friday Night Lights flag football, and you can watch games, you can watch drills. There's also apps where you can do plays. The Playmaker app, I want to say, is one of them. Anybody know of any of these apps? Anybody use any of the apps? Is it Playmaker? Anybody use a different one? Playmaker. There's a free one and there's like a paid one. But like kids are visual creatures, right? So in the huddle, you can just show them the iPad and say, hey, you're the purple person. You're the green person. Look what the green person, and you press play and they all move. It's awesome. And so it's really makes it more, visual for kids. Because as we all know, everybody learns differently. Hi, Coach.
Hey, so I'm sorry, so I coached 1 and 2 last season.
Yes, sir.
At what level do the coaches come off the field?
5th grade. Yep. And let's say you just coached 3rd and 4th grade this past spring, and you like being on the field with the players. You're like, oh, you know what, this is cool. I can show them the plays. If you want to do that exact thing in 5th grade, bring them to the sideline. You can be on the sideline showing them the plays, and then they can run back out. You can do it in 30 seconds. They're fast. What else? Hey, Coach.
I had an interesting thing happen last season. It was the end of the game. It went in my favor, so maybe I'm giving something away here. But it was the last play of the game. I had a player go offsides. They threw the flag down.
So offense gets to have a new penalty or a new play.
Well, he already called the last play of the game.
Well, if it's a penalty on the defense, the game should have continued. A game should not end with a defensive penalty, typically. Yeah. Hey, what do you do if you had a bad call or the referee didn't know anything? Raise your hand if you feel like you know this answer. Yes, sir. What do you do? You fill out the referee feedback form and you email it to us. You say, and on the feedback form it says what field number, what time, what's your team name, what was your opponent's name, what was the rule in question, how did the official handle it, is there any other concerns? And it makes it so easy. We didn't used to have a form. Let me just tell you, the email inbox on a Friday night was so juicy. I mean, people were like, Coach Pub, man, you gained some weight. I mean, and I'm like, whoa, let's talk about the game. You know what I mean? Like, the feedback form is such, it takes the emotion out of it. And let's also talk about like Friday night emails, okay? Friday night emails between the hours of 9 p.m. and like whatever a.m. until about 8 a.m. typically are not well written, okay? And they're emotional. And maybe, and maybe you had a rough night and maybe you need to sleep on it before you start emailing us, because we love your feedback and genuinely care and genuinely want to make the league better. We've done a gold division, we've done a silver division, we're doing a bronze division because we want to make sure all kids can have success in FNL. And we understand that teams are built differently. Like your team I know you guys are new, but maybe all your players play competitive soccer or competitive baseball or they do something and they're all super athletes, okay? And you just sign up and all 9 of them are all in 6th grade and they're all really fast and they all can play quarterback. Well, you're going to play against other teams that are all 6th grade, that are all fast, that are in that spot, okay? And so we do our best to tier it so that you're playing teams that are similarly comprised, because there's no way for us to bat 1,000 on this straight up. There's no way for us to bat 1,000 on it. Coach Mack and I spend hours and hours trying to make sure that we have the right teams playing each other. There's no way to bat 1,000. If you find yourself after 5 games, we're not really going to talk to you until about the 5th game, straight up. If you find yourself after 5 games, 60% through the season, Coach, we're in the wrong conference. Every game is terrible. You got to let us know. And you can put it on our radar a little earlier, but we're not going to reschedule your games typically or make that type of decision until pretty late in the season because we're not morons. We've been doing this for a while. You may have just happened to play the best 5 teams in your conference. The rest of the season may be teams that you're going to beat. And we have some info that you don't have. So hang with us on that. But at the same time, advocate. Email. Hey, you know what? The referee. Hey, the other coach. Hey, you know what? We played against this team that was like, they must have been like 16 years old. Like, by all means, communicate with us. And that's what good coaches do. They communicate with us. We want to do a great job helping you be successful, all that fun stuff. Our ego is only about making the league better. That's it. And if you have feedback, we want to hear it. What else do you guys have? Yes, sir.
Just to confirm, the referee's supposed to be counting to 7 out loud?
You're going to see a hand signal, typically. Sometimes they'll say it out loud, but most times it's a hand signal. Yeah. And the younger the games, typically, it's going to be 7.5 seconds. you know, with those kindergartners. Hi, coach.
Kind of a weird question, but
Only weird people, no weird questions.
what if somebody gets injured? Is there like a protocol, practice or during live, like?
Yeah, I think I touched on it earlier, but if somebody gets injured, it depending on the severity of the injured, you know, like if it's like a real injury, the ref's gonna be like, blow the whistle, my timeout, coach, mom, dad, come on out here, this person, hey, snack bar, let's get some ice. Like, there's gonna be that. Most of the time, it's like somebody got a little bit of a boo-boo and they just need to go, you know, have like an orange slice and like a, you know, their mom rub their back and they're fine. You know what I mean? It's amazing like what shade and a mom and like some water will do. It's crazy. What else, guys? Yes, sir. Say it again, sir. Great question. Okay, so right now, I think we have 249 teams. We have 244 coaches, okay? We need like 5 more coaches and every day we're emailing people, and Coach Mack and I are calling former players from Carlsbad High School that are still around. Hey, buddy, what are you doing this fall, you know? And we're doing our best to try to figure it out. Once we have enough coaches, we'll email out the rosters, man. Yeah, I would like to say it'll happen like by the end of the week, but having done this a few times, it usually takes a little bit longer than that, you know? So probably by the weekend is my estimation. And on your rosters, okay, you're gonna have 3 tabs on your roster. It's gonna have rosters, which is like all the teams in your particular grade. Then it's gonna say coach contact info. That's a cool tab because if you have a bye week, which you all will have at least 2 bye weeks during the season, you can email these coaches and be like, hey, anybody wanna do a scrimmage? Like we practice at this park on Tuesday, and that's a cool. And also, if you have to forfeit, like Coach said over there, like, hey, I may not have enough players, that's where you get the contact info for those coaches. And you email them and put jenfnl@gmail.com on that email. Hey, Coach, I'm going to be out of town, blah, blah, blah. The third tab is the player contact info tab, okay? And that has the player, I know it sounds crazy, it has the player contact info. Now, on the player contact info, maybe there's a number wrong. Maybe the email address bounces back. Email us, call us. Let us know. We have more numbers. We have more emails. You know, when you guys all sign up, it's like we ask for emergency. We do this. We do that. You know, we can help you with that for sure. So people to talk to, jenfnl@gmail.com. Once you get your team name, if you have a schedule request, that's the person to go to. If you have 2 teams, the advantage of having 2 teams is all your games will be at one park every Friday night. I always coached when my kids played because I simply wanted to control the schedule. I have a job, and it's a lot easier to plan practice around my schedule than worry about somebody else's schedule. So that's the advantage of coaching. If you coach 2 teams, your games are back-to-back on the same field. The advantage of coaching 2 teams, let me sell you on this. You have 1 practice a week still. 1 practice a week, 2 teams. You work on skills. You can always scrimmage. You never are short players in a practice. There's an advantage to that. Your players get better over time, the more reps they get, and especially in competitive situations. Christina4fnl@gmail.com is your go-to on rosters. Every day, Christina and I have a 45-minute phone call. Hey, Christina, how are we doing in kindergarten, first and second? Well, this coach said he would coach, but he hasn't gotten back to me yet. Can you call him? You got it, I'll call. Hey, third and fourth, how are we doing? We have enough coaches, but this, 5th and 6th grade, every day we circle up for about 45 minutes just to make sure we're all moving in the same direction, making sure that by August 18th, we have players on the field having a great experience, okay? It is supposed to be a fun, relaxing, positive environment on a Friday night. That's what this is supposed to be. Yes, sir?
I'm slow, so sorry.
No, dude, I'm slow.
We have to, so we're responsible for finding our own practice.
Yes and no. Okay, yes and no. We will have if you went to our website for the spring season, you would see like 13 different practice fields we have. But maybe none of those work great for you, dude. So then you go to wherever you want to go, and here's the key about practicing. Don't go on a field where there's like an organized event. Okay? Do not go on Alga Norte and then a bunch of people show up in baseball jerseys and an umpire and coaches, and you say, nope. This is our field. No. They're having like a real game. So you don't want to go where there's an actual youth sports activity. But if you see a field that's open and you scout it out a little bit and you start to notice like, hey, you know what? Nobody's really here. We don't need that much space. Or some people are very, very like normal and can work with you. And so maybe there's a soccer group practicing. But you say, hey, coach, we got a little flag football team. We just have a bunch of 9-year-olds here. Is it cool if we use like a little 20 by 20 area over here? A lot of times they don't care. But if they do care, you need to stand down, okay? If you get into it with another organization that has a permit for a field, that league president is going to call me. And then, like I did this past season, I'm on a Sunday, instead of dropping my child off at a birthday party, I'm having to take her to a field and lecture some coaches about, hey, you can't kick a soccer team off their field, man. They had a game. That's weird. Oh, coach, my bad. No, you know exactly what you were doing. Let's take a step back here. Please don't do that, So just be normal, I guess, about stuff. It kind of comes back to don't being weird. It is 7:30, okay? I will stick around as long as you guys want. Dax, you're not allowed to go anywhere. Stick around. But seriously, whatever you guys need, let me know. I'll follow up via email as well. I hope to get those rosters to you ASAP. If you have questions, email, text, call, all good. Thank you.